studies have shown on silverfish and on shrimp specifically that Corexit is exponentially more dangerous than other dispersants that are available out there.
We are using a product that has low toxicity.
An Exxon report some years ago showed that the Corexit is actually 4 times more toxic than the crude oil itself.
Would you say that again?
We are using an EPA-approved product.
BP continues to spray a product called Corexit in the Gulf of Mexico, despite demands from federal regulators.
We are using an EPA-approved product.
You just listen to who makes the final decision, and in this case, BP made the final decision and told the EPA to stuff it.
But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
Again, we're calling the Coast Guard.
They get that BP has control of the Coast Guard.
A boat of BP contractors with 2 Coast Guard officers on board told us to turn around under threat of arrest.
This is not ours. They get that BP has control of the Coast Guard.
But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
We saw this with Exxon Valdez. We had 6,722 cases of upper respiratory illnesses. I'm still dealing with sick people 21 years later. 100% disabled. A lot of them have died.
The average lifespan of a person who did cleanup on the Exxon Valdez is 51 years old. Almost all those people who did work on the Exxon Valdez are now dead.
You just listen to who makes the final decision, and in this case, BP made the final decision and told the EPA to stuff it.
But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
The feds have demanded that BP switch to another chemical.
We are using an EPA-approved product.
In the last month, the company has used, brace yourself, more than 700,000 gallons of this chemical, which is toxic to human beings.
But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
I mean, I've been up coughing up stuff. Your lungs fill up.
Burr says when he went to the doctor after feeling ill on Sunday, the doctor told him his lungs looked like the victims of a 3-pack-a-day smoker. And Burr says he has never smoked.
We are using a product that has low toxicity.
An Exxon report some years ago showed that the Corexit is actually 4 times more toxic than the crude oil itself.
Would you say that again?
We are not seeing huge elevations in toxins in the air or in the water.
A normal level ranges from 5 to 10 parts per billion. The reading was nearly 40 times that at nearly 1,200 parts per billion.
We are not seeing huge elevations in toxins in the air or in the water.
And the day after that, it dropped down to 46, before rising the next day to more than 1,000.
The people who work at BP who were coming to see her were only allowed to get Band-Aids and aspirin from her, and they were told that they only could go to the BP doctors if they wanted to get treated. Almost all those people who did work on the Exxon Valdez are now dead.
But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
When you see all the boom deployed around all the little islands and everywhere, you assume that it's doing some good, right? Why would they throw it out there other than to give you the appearance that it's doing good? I mean, I want to grab them and bring them over there, but I don't know if I should be, you know? Yeah, don't worry. The oil that the boom doesn't absorb, the birds will. Everything's fine, BP. They got it. Mother Nature's got this one.
I don't know where to park. I'm just gonna park like this. Take some pics.
Place is just deserted.
Marine toxicologist Ricky Ott says the chemicals used by BP can wreak havoc on a person's body and even lead to death.
The volatile organic carbons they act like a narcotic on the brain, and at high concentrations, what we learned in Exxon Valdez from carcasses of harbor seals and sea otters, it actually literally fried the brain lesions.
Congressman Charlie Melancon wants something done. He sent a letter to the Obama administration calling for temporary health care clinics to be set up
close by so that there can be immediate attention to any people that feel that they have problems, adverse problems that are caused by the inhalation or exposure to the oil.
According to Burris, some equipment was donated to workers in Lafitte, but as far as he can tell, BP has not added anything to the mix. And he says a lot of fishermen are working sick, afraid to speak out because it could cost them.
You got a woman with a baby in the oven and bills due and fishing's closed down. You're going to do whatever you have to look after your family.
Burris says when he went to the doctor after feeling ill on Sunday, the doctor told him his lungs looked like the victims of a 3-pack-a-day smoker. And Burris says he has never smoked.
On May the 7th, 2010, John Watson and pilot Tom Hutchins flew out over the Gulf of Mexico. Along the way, we saw small boats dragging buoys out to the islands to protect them from the oil sheen that was certainly coming our way. At 9 miles out, we began to smell the oil. At 11 miles out, we saw a visible sheen on top of the water. Heavy streaking was evident at about mile 15. Mile 26, we began to see solid oil on top of the water with a heavy sheen and numerous streaks at mile 34. Mile 87, ground zero. My first view of the site was one of tremendous impact. I'll never forget the scene. These are not small boats. While standing at a dock looking at them, they look like large ships. They're dwarfed in comparison to what I see on the horizon. Nothing but a red mass of floating goo that could have been prevented and should have been prevented. I was horrified when I looked and saw how many boats there were on the horizon that didn't seem to be doing anything at all that was effective. Going around in circles, small boats with booms on the back of them, sent out to gather up oil in what looked like teacups compared to the horizon. We counted 30 boats in the pictures, all floating around while this stuff was headed for shore. Nobody seemed to be able to do anything about it. For the first time in my environmental career, I find myself using the words hopeless. We can't stop this. There's no way to prevent this from hitting our shorelines. The best I think we can do is minimize the impact, learn from our mistakes. We have to have fuel, we have to have gasoline. The price we're paying now is far too expensive. Safety measures that could have prevented this were not in place. It's time for our government to step up to the plate and take responsibility for what's happening on the shores of our country. Several waterkeeper programs along the coast have already been impacted, and many more are expecting landfall. Along with other environmental groups up and down the coast, it should be mentioned that this is not only an environmental disaster, but a social disaster as well. Fishermen out of work, oyster shuckers, no work, people working the docks, all up and down the coast. People are canceling reservations. Fishing boats are not going out. The economic impact to this event will be incredible and felt for decades to come. No one knows if the fishing will ever recover. No one knows if the Gulf will ever heal from this. One thing for certain, we must learn from the mistakes that have been made here. This cannot happen again. The Gulf appears to be bleeding. Will we ever be able to stem the tide? Will we ever be able to put a stop to this? Will the Gulf ever heal? As far as you can see on the horizon now, there's these mats of this reddish pink sheen. It was easy to find our way back to shore. All we had to do was follow the red. There was a perfect line of it leading from the rig toward the shoreline. Here right off Ship Island and Horn Island, we found sheen behind the islands and in the Sound. Preparations had been made, but will it be enough? Dauphin Island in Alabama, we saw sheen coming ashore at the far end of the island. That was on May the 7th. On May the 8th, they found tar balls.
Hey Buzz Beloveds, this is actually going to be a really quick video. I'm actually really angry right now. I got a little bit curious and decided to research this dispersant that they're putting into the Gulf to break up the oil spill. And what I found was the contact information for the company and also a fact sheet of what is actually in this chemical and its hazardous effects to humans and to the environment. And what I found absolutely blew my mind. I don't understand how the EPA is allowing BP to continuously dump hundreds of thousands of gallons of this stuff into our water. And I'm ready for some serious action. And I also believe that this is not a fight for the government or for these establishments like EPA, because they've already been bought off by BP. And this is our fight. So if you have any conviction whatsoever, I seriously encourage you to start taking action and start making your voices heard. Take to the streets, do whatever you can, be really creative. I'm going to post this link and share this information that I found today and contact information as well. Please continue to educate yourselves, don't get discouraged, and let's shut these people down.